Welcome to part two of Creating Intentional Success. Hello, I'm Kim Moore, founding partner with the John Maxwell team. In this lesson, we will continue learning intentional practices to guarantee tomorrow's success. Now, in part one, you learned a little about me and my success journey. You also learned why being intentional today matters and how to make every day a masterpiece. Additionally, I asked you to start preparing to change your life. So, are you ready to learn what you need to learn to change your life? For the next 20 minutes, if you will give me your attention, I will give you the tools to change your life. So let's get started. In part two, you will start learning John Maxwell's Daily Dozen for creating intentional success. As we learn about each practice, there will be questions for you to reflect on. And your reflection on these questions is important because they will help you to grow and to be intentional. So let's introduce each practice. First, I will choose to display the right attitudes. 2, I will determine and act on important priorities. 3, I will know and follow healthy guidelines. 4, I will communicate with care for my family. 5, I will practice and develop good thinking. 6, I will make and keep proper commitments. 7, I will earn and properly manage finances. 8, I will deepen my faith. 9, I will initiate and invest in solid relationships. 10, I will plan for and model generosity. 11, I will embrace and practice good values. And last but not least, number 12, I will embrace and experience improvements. You know, in part one, I told you I was the very proud mother of 5 children. And I'd like to share a story with you about our middle son. We moved our middle son to the school that I was teaching at the beginning of his sophomore year. Now, one thing you need to know about our son is that he is a very social young man, and he made lots of friends in his freshman year, which was one of the reasons we moved him to the school that I was teaching at for his sophomore year. Well, you can imagine a teenager having to leave his friends. He's not very happy. So that first week of school wasn't as smooth as I would have liked it to be. In fact, that Friday of the first week of school, on our way home, our son says to me in an exasperated voice, "Mother, I want to change my schedule. I want to get out of ROTC." And I was a little stunned because that's all he ever talked about in his 9th grade year was joining ROTC, and his previous school did not have the program, so he was excited about the opportunity to participate. But now he sat there very, upset. So I said, "Why do you want to get out of ROTC?" He said, I don't like it. It's not what I thought it would be. So I said to him, "Well, why don't we conduct an experiment for 1 week, and at the end of next week, if you still don't like the class, then we'll talk about making a schedule change." And being a typical teenager, he reluctantly agreed. He said, "What do I have to do?" I said, "I'll tell you on Monday morning." So Monday morning, we arrive at school, we enter the building, do what we normally do, which is have our morning prayer. And then I say to him before he walks off, "Don't forget, we're going to do an experiment for this week." And he kind of shuffled his feet and said, "Okay, Mother, what do I have to do?" I said, "You need to say 2 things to yourself throughout the day. Today is going to be a great day. And 2, great things are going to happen to me today." So at the end of the day, when we got in the car, I asked him, "Did you conduct your experiment today?" He said, "Yes, Mother." I said, "Okay." And that went on every day until Friday. So Friday afternoon, we get in the car, and I ask him, "How was your day?" He said, It was great, Mother. It was a good day. I said, really? Okay, how was ROTC? He said, oh, it was a lot of fun today. It was a really good class. We went outside for physical fitness. I was the squad leader, so I had to lead the squad in their exercises. Then we went into our game, and my squad actually won. It was a great class. So I said to him, so are we still going to talk about changing your schedule? And he said, no, why would I want to change my schedule? I said, well, because last week you were adamant about getting out of this class. He goes, no, Mother, I want to stay in the class now. So being the curious educator that I am, I asked him, why? What changed? He said, nothing. I said, so the instructors didn't change? He said, no. I said, did the students change? He said, no. I said, what changed? And he gave me that normal teenager look, but he knows me well enough to know that we use teachable moments all the time. So he thought about it and he said, I changed. I said, really? What change did you make? I said, did you get taller? He said, no. I said, did you put on some muscle mass? He said, no, and started laughing. I said, so what changed? He said, I changed. I said, so why did you change? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, do you think it had anything to do with our experiment? He said, yes, I think it probably did, Mother. He said, I changed my attitude because I was expecting the day to be a great day, and I was expecting great things to happen to me, and great things did happen. So if I work on my attitude, then great things will happen. And I said, you are absolutely right, and gave that big mother smile that we mothers love to give our children. I share this story with you because I want you to know that if you're intentional about the things that you do every day, then you will create success. So are you ready to become intentional towards your success? Then let's grow. Today's attitude gives me possibilities. Reflect on these questions. Number one, what is the origin of a person's attitude? What affects someone's outlook on life? And number two, would you describe your attitude as an asset or a liability? And why? You see, every day your attitude influences the people around you, for better or for worse. We must take responsibility for our outlook on life by making the necessary adjustments to keep our attitude positive. Like any discipline, our attitude will not take care of itself. We need to attend to it daily. Now, when you do, your positivity will help you to gain the most from the opportunities and relationships you encounter. Number two, today's priorities give me focus. More questions to reflect on. Presently, what are your priorities at work? Why are these areas important? And second, how far in advance do you schedule your time at work? Prioritize your life by giving focus and energy to the things that yield the highest return. It's important to stay in your strength zone. Why? Because people don't pay for average, but they will line up for blocks and unload their wallets to experience a world-class performance. Number three, today's health gives me strength. Questions for reflection. Number one, what is your favorite method of exercise and why? And number two, how do you unwind after a particularly stressful week? What rejuvenates you? We must make the decision to know and follow healthy guidelines daily, eat in moderation, and exercise regularly. Also, we need to strike a balance between accomplishment and rest. See, as achievers, we are driven by our ambitions, and at times a little too much. And we can run ourselves ragged trying to chase down career goals. But in order for us to be able to handle the stress effectively so that the pressures of being intentional don't wear down our bodies, it's important that we take proper care of ourselves and give ourselves the physical strength and the mental well-being to tackle the demands of intentionality. Number 4, today's family gives me stability. Reflect on these questions. First, think about your best friend. Why is his or her friendship valuable to you? And second, what does the word family mean to you? And how does our families enrich our lives? You see, the pace of the world today is very busy, and we can unconsciously neglect our most cherished relationships. It's important that we prioritize time for our loved ones by putting it on our calendar first. Our relationships with friends and families, they're just too vital for us to overlook, because we need the peace and the stability that they bring to our lives. Number 5, today's thinking gives me an advantage. More reflection questions. First, when and where do you think most clearly? And second, when has one of your ideas added value to your team or your organization? See, it's important that we dedicate time to think in ways that will add value to yourself and others. Too often, people get stuck on autopilot and they just drift unthinkingly through life. Poor thinkers are slaves to their surroundings. But on the other hand, leaders make a habit of examining their world and contemplating ways to make it better. Their ideas and insights make them valuable and sought-after team members. Number 6, today's commitment gives me tenacity. Recently, I had the opportunity to mentor a young teacher who was very interested in growing and being intentional about achieving her goal to be an administrator. So this teacher came to me and asked, would I assist her in achieving her goal? So I thought about it. I said, yes, I would be more than happy to help you, but there's some things we need to discuss first before we can really make a definitive decision as to how this is going to work, or even if it's going to work. I told her, here are my expectations for you. First, you have to do the things that I've asked you to do. So if I give you an article to read, or if I ask you to do some research, whatever it is that I give you to do, you need to be able to do it. And when you come to our meetings, too, you need to be prepared to share what you've learned from that information. And she said, okay. The next thing I asked her to do was to make sure that she came with a summary of the previous week. So how did that week go? What areas did she have opportunities to learn? How did she grow during that week? General questions like that she needed to summarize. And the last thing I asked her to do was to make sure that she came with questions, probing questions, that would help guide our conversation for the next session. I also told her my commitment to her would be to 1, prepare materials for her, 2, to generate questions to promote her thinking, and 3, that I would commit to a regularly scheduled meeting. So we agreed that we would come together and meet, and over a 3-month period, we met once a week. And during that time, I watched this teacher be very intentional about growing and developing to achieve her goal. And I'm happy to say that today, this young lady is an administrator at a school site. And recently I saw her principal, and the principal told me that she was doing very well and expected that she would get promoted fairly quickly because she was just on point, doing the things that she needed to do. The other thing that the principal said that I thought was very interesting was that she saw in this young lady intentional growth because she was committed to growing and developing. So today's commitment gives me tenacity. Again, reflect on these questions. When have you followed a commitment through to completion, even when it wasn't easy? And second, presently, what commitments have you made and what do they require of you? If you come across something worth doing, then make a commitment to carry it through, because commitment sustains you when obstacles arise and gives you single-minded focus to your efforts. It also enables us to do what is necessary rather than what's convenient. Commitment, though, must be renewed regularly. And how do we do that? We replenish it by highlighting the benefits that the commitment brings to your life and to the life of others. Now, for the last 15, 16 minutes, we have talked about 6 of the 12 intentional practices to guarantee tomorrow's success. Let's briefly review each practice. The first one, I will choose to display the right attitudes. Number 2, I will determine and act on important priorities. 3, I will know and follow healthy guidelines. 4, I will communicate with care for my family. 5, I will practice and develop good thinking. And 6, I will make and keep proper commitments. I'd like to thank you again for taking your valuable time to view this screencast. I pray it has added value to your life. Now, if you agree, please take a moment to select the LinkedIn share button below so that you can add value to others. In part 3 of Creating Intentional Success, you will learn about intentional practices 7 through 12. Here's what John Maxwell says about these practices, and I quote, "Everyone has the power to impact the outcome of their life. The way to do so is to focus on today. Today is the only time you have. It's too late for yesterday, and you can't depend on tomorrow. So until our next webcast, please be intentional every day because you have the power to change your life." This is your friend, Kim Moore.